Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
Welcome to the AfterMat Season 3 special, the AfterMat Awards. I am your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me as always, finally, actually, I think she's actually finally alongside me this time, the way the cameras are set up. My tag team partner, the Glamazon Delisha. What's going on, Delisha?
Hello, hello. It's the most glamorous time of the year with
And
our
just
award show.
Yeah, and just like WrestleMania, we're wearing our Sunday's finest in our tuxedos and dresses and everything. But it's been another year, another season for us, and as we do our calendar year through, what is it? The pay-per-view usually, after they always switch whatever pay-per-view it is, but usually Money in the Bank, it used to be Backlash, but Money in the Bank through WrestleMania is considered our season, so this is pretty much our season-ending special. But we have some new faces, some old faces, and some surprises. So directly below me, as you guys see, is someone you guys already know from a co-host of AfterTalk, as well as a beautiful vlog for hair. We have Tricki Nicki.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm excited to be here again.
And ready to share what you thought was your, I guess...
Of course. You all know I love giving my opinions. So here's just another way for me to do it.
And a newcomer to the first time to the AfterMat, but not a stranger to this channel. He is the man, the myth, the legend, who does a lot of wrestling art, as well as also a lot of video game art. He is the artist, Otero Studios. How are you doing, Otero?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me on. I'm ready to...
Yes,
Yes,
I'll...
I'll...
Yeah, I'm excited because like I know you do a lot of art. If you guys check out his YouTube and his Twitter and all that, he posts a lot of like quick draw arts as well as sometimes he does his live streams where he draws it out too. So make sure you check it out. And one of the wonderful things he's been doing lately, as you guys know, we're going through pandemic. In case you haven't noticed, quarantine and stuff. But he's been doing like I guess honoring a lot of the healthcare workers and such, doing the heroes with. Can you want to talk about it for a second? You can probably explain it better than I did. I can.
Yeah, so what I did is I'm grabbing all these cosplayers that I know that actually are nurses in the real world, and then drawing them on superhero covers, and I call it Heroes Wear Scrubs. That's kind of the hashtag that I started, and then I have 2 more cosplayers I'm doing, and then I have one EMT that I'm drawing that will come later. He just still hasn't sent me his reference photos, so I want to do him justice.
And I don't know if you saw, but Miss Gidget, who was one of my friends that you've drawn, did you see the new video she posted? I don't know if she put it on Twitter, but I know she put it on her Facebook with all the nurses in their outfits, and then they hold a stethoscope up to the screen and they move it, and then they're in their cosplay, and then they throw their stethoscope to the next person who catches it, and then they do the same thing. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw the video. I just didn't like listen to it because half the time my kids are running around, so I'm watching videos on mute.
Yes, it's a really cool video. Make sure you go check it out. If you guys haven't checked it out, check out his stuff because during this time you guys need stuff that uplifting and stuff. So he's really doing a lot to show how much the healthcare workers are helping us and all that. All right, but our heroes on this evening are the lovely men and women superstars of the WWE. I'm gonna start with Nicole first. Like, what did you think of this season? Like, I know you kind of don't really follow wrestling as much anymore, but from last WrestleMania to this WrestleMania, what did you think of this year's pay-per-view schedule, and anything you really enjoyed or stuck out throughout this year?
You know, yeah, and it's kind of no secret at this point between AfterTalk and Twitter and everything that I've really taken a step back from the WWE to watch some more indie wrestling, just because that's the relationship the WWE and I have. Okay? I'm like an abused wife that just keeps going back for some reason. But you know, to be honest, I think that the biggest highlight, the thing I remember the most before I kind of was just like, you know, I can't do this right now, was The Fiend. Like, The Fiend had me really, like, I wasn't that excited at WrestleMania last year, and we did the awards, and I was excited to be here. And then, like, slowly, I got sucked back in, and I followed The Fiend religiously. Like, I wanted to watch anything that The Fiend was in. And then I moved and life happened, and I was just like, I don't have time for wrestling anymore. So yeah, and that's, you know, that was the main thing that really stuck out to me. Obviously, you know, the Crown Jewel debacle, you know, I just, that stuck out to me because I was like, of course everyone got left there. Like, anyways, I think that just stuck out to me because at that point I was already being vindictive towards the WWE, and I was, told you so, vindicated, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that stood out the most to me, not necessarily pay-per-views, but The Fiend. Like, that's what I wanted to watch the whole time I was watching this past year.
And Felicia, what about you? Did you find any moments that stuck out that you're like, wow, I want to see this on the AfterMat Awards as a category or anything? Because we do have 2 new categories this year for, I think, one which is owed to you. Well, I guess 3 that are owed to you because you're a huge NXT fan. I know that. So we added the Next Gen Awards. And one more person, I hope he gets here today, but Entertained, he gave us another award category, which is pay-per-view of the year. Because we're talking about, that's the whole Aftermath. We're talking about pay-per-view. So why didn't we think of pay-per-view of the year? I don't know why. But, Delisha, any moments for you that stuck out this year now that we added the Next Gen category?
Yeah, that would definitely made me happy because NXT is deserving of all the awards. But as I was like going through a lot of the nominees and as we were like topping out descriptions, there was a good amount of character redevelopment going on. Of course we talked about the theme, but there's been a couple other superstars such as like Seth and Bailey and some of the other women and men who have gone through whether it's a modification of a character they were doing already, or they kind of like did a little 180 to kind of freshen up their take to the audience, whether they are watching when they were watching in the ring or at home now. But yeah, as I was going through that was something that I noticed a lot as we were trying to do our little descriptions. That I was like, oh man, they really did change themselves to get themselves over, so to speak.
And are there any moment for you that you felt stood out this past year for our season wise?
I think the biggest moment was just when NXT became equal to SmackDown and Raw. To me, that was like finally everybody else can see what we've been saying for years, and they killed it with their pay-per-views, and just seeing them get the light shined on them has been the best part of this past year. And because of it, I haven't been watching as much Raw and SmackDown because all I wanted to watch was NXT. So I'm like, I that's why when all the nominees came in, I'm like, I don't know what happened other than the feed, you know.
That seems like a common thread. A lot of people are obsessed with the Fiend and what happened at I don't know, well, Crown Jewel or Super Showdown, whatever they want to call it. I can't remember the names, but that was a huge letdown for a lot of people because you take such a supernatural power and then just have them buried by a part timer. I usually don't have a problem with part timers, but when you're going against a character of such a supernatural kind of background, that kind of ruins it. Because I had a whole all these ideas about like how they could actually beat the Fiend, where like probably unmasking him and making him a normal human, and that's how they would beat him. Kind of like how the Undertaker had his urn taken away, but kind of made him weaker. I thought that would happen, but I don't know. The Saudi money won in the end, right? So, but enough of that stuff. Let's get to the awards. Our first award is going to be the Female Rookie of the Year, and that's awarded to the person who showed the best year, their first time being called up between after WrestleMania to the next WrestleMania. And I think Nicole's got this category.
That's right, I do. So, Female Rookie of the Year is the award that we are giving to the most impressive newcomer on the main roster for the women's division. We did break them up. And our first nominee was previously known as the Lady of NXT, but now she is SmackDown's Southern Belle, who uses a combination of powerful strikes and high flying to defeat her opponents. At the Crown Jewel event, Lacey Evans became one of the first female wrestlers to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Our next nominee is Shayna Baszler. Is that how you say it? You say her last name Baszler, right? Okay,
correct.
SZ, the same spot, you never know. So our next nominee is Shayna Baszler, who really took a bite out of life when she attacked Becky Lynch on Raw. She had been a dominating force in NXT for years, for a year or two, and her debut on Raw established exactly what the WWE wanted it to: the dominant champion versus the dominant rookie. Kairi Sane is our next nominee, and she totally deserves to be on this list. She had a great run on NXT, and was eventually called up to the main WWE roster as one half of the Kabuki Warriors. She and Asuka won and held the Women's Tag Team Championship for 181 days, the longest reign so far. And last but certainly not least, the final nominee is Nikki Cross. Between winning the Women's Tag Team Championship with Bliss and failing miserably to claim the SmackDown Women's Championship, her year has been a series of ups and downs. And the award goes to Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, so I don't think it's much of a surprise. Much so, Otero's. There was one vote for Nikki Cross. It came out to 4-1, 4 in favor of Shayna Baszler, 1 for Nikki Cross. It's kind of my fault because I didn't realize we had Nikki Cross as a nominee last year, but she really didn't appear that much. So I guess it's fair, kind of like a redshirt freshman or anything like that you'd have in the NCAA or sometimes in baseball and hockey. If a rookie doesn't play enough games in a certain season, they're still considered a rookie next year. So I guess it works out in this case. But Otero, I guess to your chagrin, you wanted somebody else.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Shayna Baszler. I've never been a fan of these crossover guys. Brock Lesnar. I liked Brock Lesnar before he went to the UFC, and then when he came back, I'm like, that sport changes people, and it's not for the better.
And Delicia, you're really happy with this because this is one of your NXTs taking the first award of the night.
Yes. Oh man, we should do a poll and see how many. No, wait, we can't. Never mind. I was gonna say we see if NXT wins the Survivor Series, but I was like, wait, we can't because
these categories are hard because at the end of the day, it's like I know deserves it, and sometimes that clashes with who I want to deserve it. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean,
That is a big one.
I voted Shayna because I'm like, well, she deserves it, but
Yeah.
I don't like having to vote for her.
But I also think in this case where I think for a year wise, I think Lacey Evans has had the strongest year.
Yeah.
But since since we count our season as that certain specific time period, no one's done more. I think than should have been more effective or more significant in that time period. Even though it was a short time period, she's been super effective in that time. All right, so that brings us to our next award, the Finisher Move of the Year.
Yeah.
And Delisha, this is you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, Eric brings up. Sorry to interrupt, but when Otero said about the crossover athletes, Eric brought up a good point about Ken Shamrock. He was actually really great back then in the past as well.
Yeah, he was okay. I like Ken Shamrock, but I just felt like, even then, you could see in his face, like, he was just there for the paycheck,
As most of these people are. All right, Delisha, Finisher Move of the Year.
So finisher move of the year is a move that, when it comes to our nominees, they've had, it could be devastating or awe-inspiring, and that is how our nominees were chosen for this selection. And our first runner-up is Mr. Ricochet. Many superstars do have awe-inspiring finishing moves from the top rope, but there's something about Ricochet's triple senton, appropriately named the 650 splash, that just tops them all. And our next nominee is the mysterious Aleister Black with his black mass, and which a kick to a face is never a fun time. But add on to the other foot is the kickboxing champion, or master as I call him, known as Aleister Black. It's no wonder why this move spells the end for his opponent. And then our next nominee is no stranger, I think, to this list, and that is Mr. Monday Night Rollins, Seth Rollins himself. If you ever watched the movie American History X, you'll know why WWE did not want to proceed with calling this finisher move the curb stomp. So now it's been moved to now just the stomp after they had to stop it for a while. And but it does leave his opponents wishing that they still have all their teeth after the 3 count. And then last but surely not least is Mr. Drew McIntyre. I actually looked this up. If you look up the word Claymore in the dictionary, or Webster online on Wikipedia, you'll see that it's a two-hilted sword of Scottish origin. And while I don't think Drew McIntyre is two-hilted, his Claymore kick is sure to slice a victory into his opponent as they go for the 3 count. And I don't know if this is a surprise to anyone, but it definitely wasn't to me. But we gave the winner to Aleister Black, and I think Cal can tell you how many votes he got.
Yeah, so there's actually a tie between Ricochet's 650 splash with 2 votes and Aleister Black with 2 votes as well. There's 5 of us that were voting, the 4 of us that are here, as well as our man in the rafters, Joe, our fact checker. So with the tie, I went to an independent source for each category and asked them which move do you find better in the tie. And this time, Aleister Black's Black Mass won, which I was kind of surprised with because I voted for Curb Stop and no one else voted for that. But I just love that move. It's just a cool move. And then if I had to vote for a second thing, it'd probably be Claymore, and then it would be Ricochet, and then it would be Black Mass. So my pick was the winner. So I mean my least pick was the winner. So that kind of, but it's a cool move. Who doesn't like a kick to the face? I guess.
Yeah, it's funny
Unless it's sweet shit music, I hate that. I hate Shawn Michaels.
No,
So.
it's funny that it came down to 2 former partners.
Oh yeah, and they were tag team partners too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the quick strike moves are awesome. Yeah, I agree with Big Time in the chat. Quick strike moves because like a lot of people who don't have power, like crazy power, you would need like moves like the RKO and like sweet chin music and all that are quick that you can do anytime, anywhere, and still be effective. I think those are cool. Any thoughts from Otero or Nicole about the finisher here?
I was torn on this one because I think I picked Black Mass and Ricochet, so it was just kind of like it's like which one is just a little bit better, and Ricochet flying through the air can't go wrong. So
I think I voted Ricochet also. I don't remember. I think I did though. Maybe I did it. Anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I would have voted Ricochet, but he won last year, and I was like, I really like the curb stomp, and so.
I mean,
All right.
who doesn't love Ricochet? Look at those abs.
Oh yeah, but there's the abs. That's the first count for abs. We didn't. I don't think we had Finn Balor this year for our any
I
of the
know
things.
we
He was-
don't.
So
What
like
am I
that was
gonna
crazy.
do?
Nobody
Aw.
talks
Alright.
about Otis's abs.
Our next category is the entrance of the year, and I think Otero's gonna take it off in his debut.
All right. I wanted to channel my inner Howard Finkel, but I don't think I can do it. So entrance of the year is going to the most memorable and best entrances of the year for the main brands. Oh, see, I can't do it. I can't do it.
That was
first.
pretty good though.
So the nominees are The Fiend, and with his entrance of Let Him In, where he's carrying the severed head of Bray Wyatt to the ring, channeling the old school, or not, it's not really old school, but his older entrance. The second nominee is Shinsuke Nakamura. When the guitar hits, everybody knows to start the chants in the crowd. The third nominee is Aleister Black, when the Black Mass is coming very early. And the fourth nominee is Edge with You Think You Know Him. Every time that comes on, I get goosebumps. Even though I've never been a huge Edge fan, I just think of all the shows I've ever been to, live events, and just the crowd going crazy. So, and the winner of the entrance of the year goes to The Fiend. I believe that was a landslide on that one. So
Yeah, it was 4 votes to 1. And by the way, Big Time loves your impression of Howard Finkel.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was 4 votes for Fiend, 1 for Edge at the Royal Rumble, specifically Royal Rumble entrance. But yeah, the Fiend, I know Delisha always texts me when the Fiend comes out because she loves his entrance. I love that how they changed the cadence of his original theme song. The severed head of Bray Wyatt kind of doesn't make sense, but it's pretty cool anyway.
This is the WWE. Does it have to make sense?
Yes, it does. At least to me, it does. But yeah, you know, it's cool, and I love how it's just like elongated mouth, the lantern inside of it, and he's holding it by the dreads. So
Yeah,
I don't think you
pretty
beat this.
sick.
Yeah,
This is very much.
one-
Yeah.
This is a toss up for me between the Fiend and Aleister Black, just for similar reasons. Is because I just love rocking out to their music. But every time Aleister Black's music hits, I want to jump into a mosh pit, even though I've never been in one, so probably not a good idea. But the Fiend is
They're
just
not.
it's like when those lights go out after the Firefly music hits, you're just like, or even just the first time it hit, and you're like, oh snaps, what's about to happen? And now that we're used to, you're like, every time you see it, it's still so cool. It's almost like The Undertaker, just not as long, where it's like this mysterious being, even though we know what's about to happen, it's still so cool. And we don't get a lot of those type of entrances much anymore.
Big Time, before we get to Nicole and her thoughts, Big Time says that's symbolic of his journey as an evolution as a wrestler. It's recurring in the Funhouse segments as well. Yeah. No, I agree. It's just funny to see that. Nicole, any thoughts about entrance as well?
Well, I mean, I already talked about how The Fiend was like my favorite thing all year. So anytime that entrance hits, it's like it speaks to just that dark, you know, heel side for me, because I just you guys, I'm such a villains girl that I love the hills in wrestling too. And so like, God, I love it. He walks out, he's like, look at his head, and I don't know, it's
Yeah.
Undertaker was my favorite when I was a kid because it's all morbid and morose. And I don't know. I think I have a complex.
I that's one entrance I want to see in person. I've seen Bray Wyatt's entrance, like his old entrance where it's like, we're here, and then he blows out the thing, and then the lights go out. I've seen that, but I want to see this. I think it's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, because that one's really awesome to see in person too. Everybody holds up their phone because no lighters, and yeah, it's great.
All right, our next award is actually a new award, first time presented for the female next gen superstar of the year. This is for only NXT competitors, and who would we give our NXT categories to? Delisha. She jumped on those right away as soon as she could.
I mean, I feel like I'm the poster child for them right now. But our NXT Super Gen Superstars of the Year is going to be dedicated to the 4 superstars who made, I guess, the biggest splash on NXT this year, especially as they've moved on to live USA programming. And our first nominee is Bianca Belair. the EST of NXT, who burst onto the scene back in 2016 and has been stealing the show ever since. Belair is a constant fan favorite due to her in-ring ability and charisma in and out of the ring, to where everyone knows she is destined to be a star, even though to her she is it already. Our next nominee is the aforementioned Shayna Baszler, where we've had many MMA superstars who have transferred over to the sports entertainment world, and one of the latest to do so is none other than Shayna Baszler, who came about as a dominant force ever since she starred in the Mae Young Classic. Even though she did not win it, she was a well talked about contender, and she has continued to dominate all throughout her NXT tenure and is looking to do so now on the main roster. Our next nominee is Io Shirai. After two failed attempts to defeat Shayna Baszler for that NXT title, the Genius of the Sky turned into her darker ways and spent much of the 2019 year in great feuds with Candice LeRae, and now is looking to go back for that title contention as it stands today. And then our last nominee, but certainly not least, is Miss Rhea Ripley herself, another mosh pitting phone that you can go to. I'm just after failing to capture the Mae Young Classic tournaments, Rhea created a name for herself in the NXT UK scene, and then this year was able to do what many have not, and that's beat Shayna Baszler for that women's title, which led her to go on to be the first person, I believe, to defend a NXT belt on the main stage of WrestleMania. And probably as a shock to no one, maybe again, you never know, our winner is going to go to Rhea Ripley. Because if you're main event in WrestleMania, how can you not be that next gen superstar of the year?
Yeah, I was so happy about this because you guys heard me during the WrestleMania episode of this on how upset I was about Rhea Ripley losing. I love Rhea Ripley. I think she's gorgeous. She's a great athlete. She's powerful. So I was gonna say like maybe Shayna Baszler had a better year, but I can't really say that because like Rhea Ripley was there through Survivor Series and she held her team down, you know, and she was battling with Shayna throughout our calendar year. So it was pretty good. What were your thoughts about? I'll go to Nicole first this time.
I was super stoked. I voted for Rhea also because I mean like she's just great, and like I said, I know I've been taking a WWE that doesn't really extend to NXT because even before I took my break, I would always talk with Delisha about how I really enjoy NXT and how I fell in love with NXT when I went to an NXT takeover right before the Royal Rumble, and like I was like, these wrestlers are amazing. Like this is all I want in wrestling. Like, and it was great. And so I'm super excited to see her get the award because I think she deserves it. And that's saying a lot because, you know, I mean, literally just a moment ago, I voted for Shayna Baszler, but like, yeah, I mean, Rhea did have such a great year. I don't know. I definitely think, you know, she deserves this award.
Otero, your thoughts? And would you have it that way? Because it was, I forgot to mention, it was 4 votes to 1. 4 for Rhea Ripley and 1 for either Bianca Belair or Shayna. I think maybe Shayna, maybe.
I love Rhea Ripley. Even before she came to NXT, even before the Mae Young Classic, I knew she was my girl. It went the first time I saw her wearing a Vegeta shirt.
There you go.
So I was just like, I'll be her fan for life, and she's always sharing the art that I do of her. So it's like I gotta show her love.
And she's got a Vegeta tattoo. So
does she?
Yeah, I think she got a Vegeta tattoo on her leg because she's a huge Vegeta fan. So that's why I love her too.
Awesome.
Yes, he is.
So now we have something in common.
Yes, you guys do. Now she'll start coming to your channel and be like, it's over 9,000. Remember to stay over 9,000. My Animal Crossing character is dressed like Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta Blue. So it's
gotta
awesome.
Represent, man.
It's my favorite.
Well, I'm wearing a Pokemon hoodie.
I only have one shirt and has Goku and Vegeta. I hate Goku, but it has Goku and Vegeta on it. Across from them, it's Superman and Batman. Because I'm a Superman fan and I'm a Vegeta fan, but I hate Batman and I hate Goku. So, but that's the only way I can get that shirt. So, all right.
That's why we're friends, Cal.
The next award is first time, and I would like to thank Entertained for this. Entertained suggested, why don't we do pay-per-view of the year? So pay-per-view was the event that we thought was the most entertaining of the year. So thanks to Entertained. The first nominee is Royal Rumble 2020, which kicked off the road to WrestleMania and was highlighted by the men's and women's Royal Rumbles. The event also featured Becky Lynch, The Fiend, and Bayley successfully defending their championships. The second nominee is Money in the Bank, which is one of the most coveted prizes in the business. Seth Rollins and Kofi Kingston successfully defended their titles, and Brock Lesnar stole the show and the contract at the end of the evening. The third nominee is the Survivor Series, which featured a new twist by involving NXT this year in the annual event. In the end, the NXT brand won the evening and the hearts of the WWE Universe. Finally, the final nominee is the Elimination Chamber 2020, which was the final stop before WrestleMania 36. Sami Zayn won the Intercontinental Championship title, and Shayna Baszler became the first superstar to eliminate all other competitors in the Elimination Chamber. And the winner is Survivor Series 2019. And this was actually one of the other contested events because we got 2 votes for Survivor Series, 2 votes for Royal Rumble, and 1 vote for the Elimination Chamber. So I had to go to an independent source, and they decided that Survivor Series was better, which I agree. And I think if you look back, Survivor Series was the only event that I gave an A this year to, in when I gave my end grade for AfterMat. So it works out. Boo, big time boo. No. This is a great event, Survivor Series. I mean, I love Royal Rumble because what Brock did, people didn't enjoy what Brock did, but I thought that was great. I loved it. Your guys' thoughts? And Delisha, if you want to call out and call back in, because I think we lost you on cam.
Oh.
So she just got to drop the call and call back in. It should work. But I'll go to Otero first this time. Otero, your thoughts on the pay-per-views this year?
I think I voted for Elimination Chamber, but I'm totally with you with Survivor Series. Just having the third brand there, I think it's just with anything else, having 3 is better than 2. Like triple threats are always better than singles matches. So just having the 3 brands was so much more fun for me this year. So it was a toss-up for me. That's why I picked Elimination Chamber, because Elimination Chamber has just been consistent for me. It's kind of like Royal Rumble, where Royal Rumble's consistently either bad or good. But no, Survivor Series, I definitely agree with that pick.
All right, Nicole, your thoughts?
I did not pick Survivor Series. I actually picked the Royal Rumble, and I picked that because it was awesome to watch Brock Lesnar. And this is coming from I hate Brock Lesnar, but it was great to watch him come in at number 1 and just eliminate person after person after person. I'm like, holy hell, like I really thought that they were just gonna let him take the Royal Rumble, and I was like, what's happening right now? So like that was a great pay-per-view. I caught snippets of some of the others. Man, Survivor Series I do actually think deserves this award, even though I voted for Royal Rumble. Like having NXT there just really puts it at the top of the list for great pay-per-views, and that's because NXT is fantastic. It's filled with such amazing talent that I really think that the NXT crew pushes the main roster to just be better than they actually are, and I think we saw that in Survivor Series.
Well, Big Time says the one thing he agreed that Survivor Series was great, but the one thing he didn't like is that the build for it was last minute. But I didn't think so, because I felt like they had an invasion angle for like a few weeks to come. They definitely had invasion angles, because like Adam Cole defended on Raw one time, I think, as well as SmackDown. So like, and they had the whole DX tank thing with NXT coming in and NXT holding the ring. I think they had not like a long build, but they had a pretty decent build. I didn't think it was last minute. So I disagree with that, but it was, I think, one of the best pay-per-views we've seen in a lot of years, because NXT was really where it's hot right now. So you got to ride what's hot, right? So I think it was good.
Finally.
Any other thoughts? Because I think Delisha's up next, and she's not here.
I know. Which she's going to be so sad, because I'm telling you, I don't know what she voted for, but knowing her, she probably voted Survivor Series also, because she loves herself some NXT.
Yeah, I know. Like,
and she's gonna be sad.
I have to say, the match with Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio was great, because I love seeing Dominic come out. I always say how like the thing with Dominic coming out and doing the 619 with his dad, and then both pinning him at the end, and not the end because they didn't win the match, but that was a cool moment to see, because I was like, oh my god, are they actually gonna do it? But then like Brock kicks out of it, and then he like just destroys them both, and that was great to watch. I had a lot of fun watching that. I think she's back now. At least her video isn't, but she is. Can you hear us, Alicia?
I can hear you, but I cannot see anything.
Alright. Well, we can hear you. What's your thoughts on the pay-per-view of the year? Hopefully your camera will come in right now. But what are your thoughts about pay-per-view?
I thought I actually enjoyed all the pay-per-views that were nominated, but of course, for reasons, Survivor Series is my favorite. Just because it was a fresh take on the traditional Survivor Series. So whenever there's like a new like kink in the rules, it always people are like, ooh, like what are we gonna do? How's this gonna work? And it was really cool to see NXT get showcased in all of its glory.
I was so right.
All right, so we're going to the next category. We'll be able to hear Delisha, but we won't be able to see her. But
yeah, you guys are up now. So.
Yeah. So male superstar of the year, Delisha.
Yes. So male superstar of the year, of course, much like all of these, are just highlighting the 4 superstars who drew the most attention to us as not exactly just a breakout superstar, but yes, a breakout role that they played in the AfterMat season. And our first nominee is going to be Andrade, the artist formerly known as Andrade Cien Almas, along with his manager Zelina Vega. Made their way up to the main roster back in 2018, but it was 2019 that saw Andrade get prompted him into the forefront of main roster stardom with the crowd, including mainly due to his feuds with Rey Mysterio and Humberto Carrillo, and also winning that US championship, which he is still champion of. I forgot to write down how many days, but I believe it's been over 100 days. If Zelina Vega is to be believed. And our next nominee is Mr. Seth Rollins. Rollins is a top tier superstar on many people's list. He turned his character around here in the latter part of 2019 to become the Monday Night Messiah, a mobbish, cultish leader who's been feuding with the likes of Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, and he obtained his 6th tag team championship along with Murphy, formerly known as Buddy Murphy. And our next nominee is The Fiend, perhaps one of the biggest transformations of characters we've seen in 2019. The former leader of the Wyatt family showcased an even darker side with The Fiend, a terrifying monster who would devour your soul if only you'd let him in. And then finally, we have Drew McIntyre in another category. Once again, much like Steph, they're kind of running away with these nominations. The Scottish psychopath world, we're just living in it. After flailing a bit in the front half of 2019, he kind of got it together in the latter part of 2019 and displayed himself returning to his intense brute character that we kind of saw back in NXT, which ultimately led him to be in the running for that WWE Championship, which also portrayed him to headlining WrestleMania and gaining all the gold. So we had no choice but to put him on our list. And our winner here, of course, to no one's surprise, literally no one's surprise, is The Fiend for being our superstar of the year. Guys, are you happy with that pick?
Yeah, I mean, The Fiend actually went 5-0, so he's the first unanimous victor this season. But I'll let Nicole take it over because she said all about The Fiend this year. So
all about The Fiend this year. I was so stoked that when the matches came in and everybody had the unanimous vote, I like squeaked, like literally out loud. I was like, ah! Because like, I don't know, it just felt like everyone understood me in the moment. I'm like, hell yes. Just because, I mean, it was so good. It was such a good storytelling. I don't know. I really loved it.
Otero, your thoughts?
I love The Fiend. I'm just so glad that everybody seems to be on the same page with him. He used the shot in the arm that I think wrestling needs, and they should have kept on with it. So him losing the title, I feel, was just kind of like a little bump in the road, but I hope that this next year, once wrestling gets back to normal with crowds and they can really capitalize on having a lot of people there, it'll be good for Way Bryant and Ray. I said Way Bryant. And The Fiend. So I'm stoked, and I'm glad he's winning so many of these categories.
Yeah, and we know that the WWE watches our show, so we're gonna see that he's gonna have a great year coming up next because we said so, and
that's right.
I really hope he does succeed.
And that's the bottom line.
Yes, because AfterMat said so. All right, so our next award is for the match of the year, and I think Nicole's taking over this.
That's right. So for Match of the Year, that is the category where we highlight the best match of the year, obviously. And our first nominee for Match of the Year is Truly Rememberable. Or Memorable. Rememberable? That's not a word. Memorable? Sorry. I have memorable written in my notes. Maybe I should just read them. The men's match at Survivor Series was simply packed full of talent, tension, and drama as Team Raw were pitted against Team SmackDown, all while both teams felt pressure from the rising talent of NXT. After a nearly 40-minute match, Team SmackDown walked away victorious after Roman Reigns speared NXT's Keith Lee for the pin and the win. The next nominee that we have is the Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36 between AJ Styles and The Undertaker. Now, due to circumstances, aka COVID-19, the WWE was essentially forced to get creative and think outside the box. And it resulted in an on-location match that felt more like a movie than a match. And that's why it will likely be talked about for years to come. The men's Royal Rumble match was memorable for a few different reasons. And that's why it's our next nominee for Match of the Year. Not only did Brock Lesnar enter at number 1 and eliminate 13 competitors, tying Braun Strowman for the most eliminations in a single men's Royal Rumble match, but we also had the surprise return of The Edge. And the final nominee for Match of the Year is the title match between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. I know many people found this babyface versus babyface feud uninspiring, and honestly, they were right. But it's difficult to argue that fans found themselves all the way engaged from the jump in what was clearly a tremendous matchup between two in-ring tacticians. Seth Rollins managed to retain the WWE's Universal Championship belt, and in my opinion, this match more than made up for the uninspiring storytelling of their feud. And the winner of Match of the Year goes to AJ Styles and Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank.
So this is another tie that we had. We had a tie between the men's Royal Rumble and AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank, 2 votes apiece, and 1 vote going to the Boneyard match for WrestleMania 36, which is kind of surprising because a lot of people really enjoyed that. I personally enjoyed the Firefly Funhouse match better than the Boneyard match, but AJ Styles found himself in 2 of the matches, or maybe even 3 or 4. I don't know if he was in the Royal Rumble or the Survivor. I think he was in the Royal Rumble. Maybe he was in Survivor. So maybe he was in all these matches. That would have been crazy for AJ Styles. But yeah, you can't go wrong with these 2 superstars. They're both talented, gifted athletes that can do anything, high fly, wrestle. So you can't go wrong. I don't know. Delisa, your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I was surprised, a little bit surprised because I thought people might wanted to go to the Boneyard match, like you said, because it was talked about so much. But I guess in the end, we went for the actual full-fledged technical term match for this one, which I'm not mad at because, like you said, these 2 are just great. And they've had, I think, a couple of good matches in the past. They might have been nominated maybe last year too. But whenever these 2 get in the ring, you know they're going to give it their all because they care about this business so much, and it's always appreciated. And
Otero, what are your thoughts about? Would you agree with this?
I picked the Boneyard match. I was the outlier, but that's just because I felt like the cinematics worked for it. But I always like AJ Styles and Seth Rollins. I think they always wrestle their hearts out, even when people, crap all over them. Well, not AJ, but a lot of people crap on Seth. And I like Seth as a heel personally, but, whenever there's babyface versus babyface, the match could be either really great or it could just be a stinker. Like when Batista was a face and he would fight another face, it was just like, I just want to go home now.
Yeah. I think it's just because it was a testament to their talent and their character that carried the match, even though they're both faces. Just their maneuverability and all of that.
Well, not only that, but like the feud really wasn't that good, but the match itself was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, how many wrestlers could take garbage and go, hold on, here's the best match of the year? Like,
right. Which is a good segue to the next category, which is Feud of the Year. So, will we find these 2 on there? Probably not. But yes, the Feud of the Year the award will go to the 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe even entire roster that showed the best conflict amongst themselves. The first nominee is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, which was a callback to the Attitude Era days of Authority versus Rebel. The feud culminated in a no disqualification match at WrestleMania, which saw Kevin Owens leap off the WrestleMania sign. Our second nominee is the NXT versus the main roster, which is one of the most anticipated angles of the hardcore wrestling fan. Weekly invasions of the flagship shows led to all three brands colliding at Survivor Series. Our third nominee is Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt, which harkens back to the days where Bryan feuded with the Wyatt family. The two met at the Royal Rumble, and the Fiend demolished Bryan. Our final nominee goes to Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar, which was like David versus Goliath for the ages. Mysterio did not fight his battles alone, as he was aided by Cain Velasquez at times, as well as his own son Dominic. And the winner of Feud of the Year goes to another unanimous decision, the NXT roster versus the main roster. So we saw this. We knew this was going to happen. We are huge fans of the NXT, especially Delisha. Seeing this lead into the pay-per-view of Survivor Series, which won pay-per-view of the year, makes sense. Like, this is great. Everyone loves invasions. I enjoyed the DX invasion of WCW, sort of. You know, how they kind of went there. I enjoyed the ECW, WCW invasion back when Ric Flair and Shane McMahon teamed up to buy the companies against Vince McMahon. And I enjoyed the NXT. Even the Becky Lynch thing last year when SmackDown invaded Raw before and she broke her face, or broke her nose, whatever it was. I love these invasion angles. Keep giving them to me. They're so great. And now we have a Ferris. I think it's a Ferris. Delisha, we're going to kick it up for you because NXT. You are NXT.
I am. I should probably get that shit. Yeah, this was, of course, great. As soon as I think I was the one who also put that in as a nominee. So, of course, I was going to vote for it. Again, it was just that a slightly fresh intake of things we've seen before, but done in a quite new way. And it was getting the NXT exposure over with the at the time when we were calling the main roster crowd. But it was just a really good time to see everyone interact and get those, like, I guess, matchups, so to speak, in, like, chaos of that we never dreamed of seeing, like getting that Keith Lee and Roman Reigns stare down, or like Adam Cole and Seth Rollins looking at each other across the ring, of like what we may be able to see in the future. It was just really cool.
Otero?
I'm definitely in agreement with this one. I think everybody picked this one.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad to see NXT get the spotlight. I feel like this whole award show is just NXT themed. So.
Yeah, seems like it so far, and maybe another competitor that we'll be talking about in a second.
That's a cool idea. Is the Fiend holding like the NXT banner? Maybe the Fiend versus the whole NXT roster. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool feud.
They'll still bury him, which is gonna suck. But I'd rather have the NXT roster bury him than Goldberg bury him. But you know.
Yes. Me too.
Nicole, your thoughts about this feud of the year?
I mean, I feel like I sound like a broken between praising NXT, you know, loving the Fiend, and I was so excited, one, to see this show up as Feud of the Year, because, like, I didn't really think of it as being Feud of the Year. Like, when, you know, in the traditional sense, I was thinking person versus person. So, like, when I saw this pop up and it was NXT versus the main roster, I'm like, that is so clearly the best Feud of the Year. So I think the nomination of having that as a feud, one, was really surprising for me because my brain just didn't think like that, and two, I was super stoked and immediately was like, that's my pick, duh. Like, yeah,
this really did, like I said, this goes well with hand in hand with the pay-per-view of the year, as well as this being what led into it. But this is great, even though it's only for one pay-per-view. I think it was super solid that I actually could win out the feud of the year. Most feuds we do see is only a single pay-per-view, but they do carry over several months. So but yeah, big time, just don't mention his name. Our next award.
This year's nominee is going to be the entertainment industry versus COVID-19.
Yeah, we'll see what happens and how many we're going to miss out on, because this is crazy, getting crazy now. Our next award is very near and dear to our heart. It is an award that is dedicated to one of our former, I guess, co-workers here in this studio. We started off as a trio on AfterMat with myself, Delisha, and Eric the Hitman, and unfortunately, you know, things happened and he lost his mother, but we would still like to honor her and remember her. So for the second time ever, we're having the Beverly Monroe Female Superstar of the Year, and we're gonna have a special presenter for that. We have, hopefully popping up on the screen. He's there, but waiting for the image to come in. Hopefully we can hear him. But it's the hitman himself, Eric Monroe. Welcome back.
Hey, can you see me?
Not yet. It usually takes a second to load in, but we can hear you.
Okay. What's up, guys?
Hey.
Good to see you all
Hey, how's it going?
during these crazy times
That's
that we're
right.
living in. But once again, I do very much appreciate you dedicating this award to my mom. It means a lot to me.
Oh, of course. You know, this is we're a family here. That's what we do.
And I'm glad to see, even after my departure, AfterMat is going on, and now there's AfterTalk and all that good stuff. So, I mean, that makes me happy.
All right, you ready to honor your mother, the Female Superstar of the Year?
Yes, I'm ready to get to this. So, nominee number 1 is Asuka. Let me make sure I got this right. The Empress of Tomorrow took a break from her singles career to form the Kabaku Warriors along fellow nominee Kairi Sane. They own the longest women's tag team title reign at 181 days. Oh, that is pretty impressive. Nominee number 2 is Bayley. Bayley has shedded her good girl image, and the bad side has done her well. She has since won the SmackDown Women's Championship twice, including being the current holder. Number 3 is Becky Lynch. Man has had the most flirtatious year of any superstar in many years. She began by holding both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, but to today, she's only the Raw Women's Champion. And finally, let me pull this up here. Our 4th nominee, so let me zoom this in, is Kairi Sane. After NXT called up the Pirate Princess has been teamed with Asuka at Paige's behest, the two have won and held the Tag Team Championship for a record 181 days. That's a lot of days, wow. And the winner is dun, 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 Becky Lynch.
Yeah, she was another unanimous vote, so we had 2 in a row. Becky Lynch won 5 votes to nothing, which is not surprising. There's Eric. Now you can see him with the Hitman shirt on. We're not surprised because she had 2 belts at the beginning of the year for our calendar year, and then just lost only 1, still holding it since last WrestleMania. Eric, you find Becky Lynch deserving of this award?
Excuse me?
You find Becky Lynch deserving of this award, female?
The only event I've actually seen is WrestleMania, but I would always support Becky Lynch. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is great.
That's the correct answer.
So yeah, we'll go to Nicole next. Nicole, your thoughts about Becky winning Female Superstar of the Year?
Yes. She missed out on it last year. We had to give it to who did we give it to? Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey.
Did we give it to her? Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. What I'm saying is, my girl finally got it. She deserves it because she's the man.
I still can't. I always say that the face of the women's evolution or revolution is the man, which makes no sense to me. It's kind of like an ironic fact, or an oxymoron. But Otero, your thoughts? You think Becky Lynch deserved it? I mean, we all voted 5-0, but would you have seen anybody who wasn't nominated here? Maybe.
Well, Asuka's, it's all WWE's fault for how she's been handled. So I can't really lay any fault on her. I'm pretty sure if it was a creative decision, Asuka would probably be the superstar of the year. But Becky Lynch, even when she was the goody two-shoes with the goggles and the trench coat, I loved her. So just seeing her finally get the spotlight, winning 2 titles at the same time, it just she's very well deserving of it. So I'm glad she got it.
Delisha, you agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like despite the way she did win, with the slightly wonky finish that we talked about for our WrestleMania recap, she still cemented her reign and legacy for I think it's the year reign that she's had. Even though she did go from Becky 2 belts 1 belt, because we kind of knew that because we like to have separate titles. But yeah, of the four, she still had a consistent character arc and in ring ability and just being at the top of her game throughout the whole year. Yes, it is creative and all the bounties, yada yada yada. But on screen, of what we the people can see, Becky had the best year of the four. So she deserved the nom. I mean the win, the nom and
Yeah.
the win.
And one thing I do want to mention, she went from Becky 2 belts to Becky 1 belt. Regardless, you're still a champion, right? So you can't really hate on that. She had the most successful and consistent year, like you said. Eric, any last thoughts? Where can we find you?
Once again,
How you been holding up?
It's the whole year and a half's been a rough year and a half for me. I moved, which is good.
Yeah.
My dad's doing well, which is good.
Your sister and the baby?
My nephew's doing very well. We're just all going a little stir crazy with this quarantine thing that we have to do to be safe because it's crazy out there. You can find me on Twitter. I haven't said this in a year. at MMKoch200. And let me know what you think.
And thank you so much, and thank you for letting us honor your mother with this because you are still part of our family.
I thank you for doing it. I told my sister, she almost teared up. She was like, "Oh, that's so nice." I'm like, "They're great people." So hopefully, I'll see you guys. I'll see you at Delicia's wedding.
Yes, we're only several months away from that, so God willing, because we know how life is right now. But we'll see. But thank you again, Eric, for joining us, and thank you for everything.
And I'll just leave this because I haven't said it in such a long time. Stannis Baratheon is still the one true king.
We got to throw our Game of Thrones. If you guys don't know, Eric was a great supporter of the Night's Watch as well, and he joined in, and he's a huge Stannis Baratheon fan. So thank you once again, Eric. Hopefully you and your family is doing well, and we wish you the best. All right. That brings us to our next award, which is our Male Rookie of the Year, and I believe Otero's taking this over.
All right. So, award for Male Rookie of the Year. This award is going to the male rookie who stood out this year once transitioning to the main brands. And the nominees are, first starting off with Otis, one half of Heavy Machinery. He was called up from NXT, and anytime I see him on the screen, it just makes my day. He is hilarious, and that tag team kind of harkens back to the old school WWE Superstar days, and I really enjoy it. The second nominee from 205 Live and kind of NXT-ish called up, his name is Humberto Carrillo. He previously worked under the ring name Ultimo Ninja while wrestling in Mexico. He is a third-generation luchador. The third nominee is Angel Garza. Angel Garza is also from 205 Live, and he's also been on the circuit for a long time. His real name is Angel Humberto Garza. He's a Mexican professional wrestler. He wrestles under the Raw brand now and is a former NXT Cruiserweight champion and also the cousin to Humberto Carrillo. So there's a little rivalry there. And then our fourth nominee is going to be Montez Ford, one half of the Street Profits. Also makes my day when I see him on the screen. It was nice to see that tag team go from kind of like jobbers to almost main event. And I hope, they keep going. Is also the husband to Bianca Belair. And the winner of Male Rookie of the Year is Montez Ford.
Yeah, so Montez Ford took this 4 votes to 1. I was the only holdout because I voted for Humberto Carrillo. I don't think this guy did enough to in the short amount of time that we've seen him. Like Otero was saying, he's been a jobber until they actually ended up winning, and they're mostly backstage vignettes. So I really didn't think he got a thing. I saw Carrillo in the ring more and all that, so I thought he deserved it more of all the people that were here, especially since he won the U.S. Championship, I think. The only person to beat Andrade in a while. So for me, I felt like that was the win. But we'll go to our NXT specialist here because this is pretty much an NXT guy winning. Delicia, your thoughts about Montez Ford winning?
Yeah, I was actually with you. I was split between Montez and Humberto because both of them, it might not have been displayed as much in 2019, but they both do have that in-ring capacity. But I think I am ultimately with Montez because of his charisma factor. The guy knows how to command the mic along with the crowd and get him on his side, and I'm pretty sure that's what's kept him having a job. Because even in NXT, they weren't really as over until they really gave them both more time on the mic and with the whole like Street Profits gimmick as we know it as today. So it's really based not only his in-ring talent because we did get to see that eventually, but that pure charisma where he can command the crowd is what really was like, man, this guy is going to be a star if they give him the ropes. Pun intended, I guess. He's going to be a star.
Well, Nicole, you were one of the 4 votes for Montez Ford. Your thoughts on this?
You know, I mean, I voted for him probably like until Delisha said it right now. It didn't occur to me, but I mean, I love the men on the mic. Like, you know, that's one of the things that makes Chris Jericho so amazing. It's one of the things that makes KO so good. Like, you know, when you get a guy who can really run the mic, that's what I think makes Becky Lynch so good. And it's like, I just realized when Delisha said that I probably voted straight based out of like, oh yeah, I want to see this guy win. Like, yeah, he charmed me.
I mean, no one's better on the mic than Brock Lesnar. We all know that. So
I hate you.
The only thing he's good at is passing it over to Paul.
That's right.
Hey, when he had the Money in the Bank briefcase with the boombox, that was great. They showed some charisma there. Any last thoughts on this category before we move to the next one?
I really do think that it's true what they say is, you know, the charisma factor is what makes a superstar. You can have all the talent in the world, but as much as I love Ricochet, you know, if he had just a little bit more mic skill, he'd probably have all the titles.
He'd be the Miz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, when we get towards the end, I want to ask you guys for who you guys think got snubbed this year, because we mentioned The Miz and the Usos as well. Usos were our only ever tag team champion winners, and they weren't even nominated this year, as you guys are going to find out in no one passed the mic better to Heyman than Brock. But yeah, so there's some. We're gonna get back to the snubs later on in the evening. But yeah, speaking of tag teams, and talking about the Usos, the next award is the Tag Team of the Year, which I'll be doing, and it does not feature the Usos for the first time ever, who are our only ever winners of this award. The first nominees are the aforementioned Street Profits, which made the most of their call from NXT as they won over the WWE Universe with their many backstage vignettes, and they did not disappoint in the ring either as they became the Raw Tag Team Champions and successfully defended at WrestleMania. Our second nominees are Bliss Cross Applesauce. No bias there, which is an unlikely duo, but effective nonetheless. The two best friends have thrived together and become the first ever 2-time women's tag team champions. 2 times. Our third nominee is the New Day, which are no strangers to the AfterMat Awards, as it's their third time nominated, losing twice to the Usos. So will they win it this year? Who knows with the Usos. They currently hold the SmackDown Tag Team titles, as their third member, Xavier Woods, is sidelined due to injury. The final nominees are the Viking Rangers. Much like the Street Profits, where quickly after their call-up from NXT, they also won the They also won the WWE Raw Tag Team Champions soon after they arrived on the main roster. And the winner of the Tag Team of the Year is Bliss Cross Applesauce. They are the first females to win the Tag Team of the Year, unless you consider the Usos females. They won with 3 votes compared to the Street Profits' 1 vote, and the New Day's 1 vote. As you know, I'm extremely biased because my WWE wife number 1 is on the team. Viking Rangers? I thought I said Viking Raiders.
You said Rangers.
Oh.
It's okay.
Viking Raiders,
It's
sorry.
time.
Yes! Viking Raiders. Sorry, thank you. So first ever 2-time women's tag team champion. No, it was actually 3 votes to 2 votes to 3 votes to 1 vote to 1 vote. I did not rig it. That people actually did vote for this. So we'll go to Otero first. Oh, no, Otero's coughing, so we'll go to Nikki first. All right, so Otero, your thoughts? I don't know if you voted for them or the Street Profits. I feel like wait. Before we do this, I think Otero voted for New Day, Delisha voted for Street Profits, and Nicole and I and Joe voted for Bliss Cross Applesauce. That's what I'm thinking. But let's go to Otero.
I voted for New Day, but that's just because I I would have voted for Bliss Cross Applesauce too, but I just felt like New Day, they're just the safe choice, and I was just like, I just didn't want to throw my vote away. I didn't realize it was that popular.
Delisha, your thoughts?
Of course, I voted for Street Profits. No. Yeah, I just thought that they were the more exciting team that we saw this year, and going back to why the Usos weren't there, it's just because they just weren't on television for most of the year because of injury and personal issues.
Jail. Go ahead.
I wasn't gonna say it, but okay.
And Nicole, your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, I voted for the winners because I too am a winner.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know what? I am also just a huge fan of Alexa Bliss, like Cal is, and I was like, yeah, I had a good time watching them, so why not? I was like, I'm gonna vote there, and I really didn't think they were gonna win, so I'm kind of excited.
It's crazy because she was sidelined a lot with injury as well, so she's been doing mostly moments of bliss. But to see her win was great at WrestleMania. Though I did enjoy seeing the Kabuki Warriors because I enjoy their promos, even though it's pretty much all in Japanese. I love that because it's a great character gimmick. Even though we were talking about like stereotypes and stuff on the last After Talk, I think for them it works out really well because it draws the heat from the audience. Well, when there was an audience, they'd always be like, it harkens back to the old days when Stone Cold's there in the audience would be like, what? So every time they talk, Kabuki Warriors talked. I would have given to them if they were nominated as well. But I can't go wrong with this tag team. First ever 2-time women's tag team champions. Alright, so that brings us to our next award. Let me go to my thing. And we have we know who's going to be doing it because it's the male next-gen superstar of the year. So, Delisha.
Yeah, I think some of these are purely accidental. But, yeah.
Whatever, you picked.
Yes, so our male next-gen superstars of the year are our superstars who gained the most attention to us for their performance in the ring of professional wrestling. And our first nominee is going to be Keith Lee. Since his debut back in 2018, the audience has been honored to bask in his glory. And 2019 has been no different. He's been shot out to the forefront in the later half of 2019, especially during the NXT versus the main roster feud, and getting in the ring of the likes of Roman Reigns and getting the rub back in the Royal Rumble as well. Even though Brock Lesnar was mouthing, "Who is this guy?" But it took a lot to get him out of the ring. And with him now having championship gold of his own, it is surefire way that the WWE has their asterisk on him to look forward to him being on the main roster at some shortly in the future. But there's a reason why he's on our list. And then, as a shock to no one, there's no way you can have a list of anything NXT related without naming Adam Cole, baby, the leader of the Undisputed Era, has seemingly feuded with everyone in 2019, and it hasn't had a bad match, I don't think, all year. With the likes of going against Johnny Gargano and Velveteen Dream and Finn Balor, and of course Tommaso Ciampa in the later part of 2019. So of course he had to go on the list. Speaking of Ciampa, he's our next nominee. But while a neck injury left him sidelined for chunks of the 2019 year, his return has always brought back an impact. The crowd loves to get behind this guy, whether they're going to boo him or cheer him. With the later part finding him cheering. But he started the year chasing tag team glory with Johnny Gargano, and then ended the year in a heated feud with Adam Cole to get back Goldie, the NXT Championship. And again, speaking of, you can't talk about NXT without talking about Johnny Gargano, who calls himself the face of NXT. And Gargano made that true by becoming the NXT champion, making him the first Triple Crown champion of NXT by winning both tag NXT championship and the North American championship. Not at the same time, but throughout his tenure there. And although he lost the belt after his first defense, Gargano continued to have amazing feuds in the match with the likes of Cole, Finn Balor, and now Tommaso Ciampa early on in this year. And as far as we know, he hasn't had a bad match since. So of course, he was going on our list. But unfortunately, he was not the winner. That moniker goes to Mr. Keith Lee, who has adorned the fans all over, who just loves to sing along with his theme song and get behind him in everything that he does. Because how in the world does a big man like that move the way he does?
Yeah, this was actually probably the most difficult category because we had the strongest nominees of any category. And we're talking about including male superstars, female superstars of the year, champions of the year. This, I feel like, was the most difficult category to vote for because they were all so star-studded. And the votes came out 3 for Keith Lee, 2 for Adam Cole. And I am a huge Keith Lee fan, but I voted for Adam Cole because for the whole year I felt like Adam Cole was just amazing. And he is, even though Gargano calls himself the face of NXT, I do agree, NXT wouldn't be anything without Adam Cole, I believe. Because him and the Undisputed Era really reigned supreme there. And they can hit on every cylinder, no matter who they face, I feel. So this is a pretty tough award. But I don't mind Keith Lee winning it. I love Keith Lee, but I really felt Adam Cole is more deserving. Otero, your thoughts?
I voted for Adam Cole too, and that's just because I'm an Undisputed Era fanatic. But seeing Keith Lee get just as many or more votes, obviously, but Keith Lee is awesome too. These 4, I wish I could just give a vote for each one because I think it was War Games that crazy main event. That was the first time I've popped like that since I was a teenager. When I saw, I think it was Ciampa dropping Adam Cole from the top. Oh man, I was just like, holy crap! So just seeing Keith Lee up there, I'm happy, but I just kind of wish Adam Cole won. I would have picked Dijakovic too. I would have loved to see him on there.
Speaking of that, maybe next year if we open up Feud of the Year to NXT as well, Dominic Dijakovic versus Keith Lee was one of the best feuds I've seen by far because their matches were amazing. That's how I fell in love with Keith Lee and Dominic Dijakovic by watching their match because seeing 2 big guys move like that, you can't beat that. Nicole, your thoughts?
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I ended up voting for Keith Lee. So, again, I'm a winner because I voted for the winning team. But you know what? I was really impressed with the work that he did when he showed up on the, in like when they disturbed SmackDown and Raw. And I was like, that guy's a powerhouse, man. And I just really remember him sticking out to me when I was watching main roster highlights and stuff. So that's why I voted Keith Lee.
Yeah, this was a great category. Maybe these guys might be like next year's Male Superstars of the Year nominees. You never know. I just can't believe how star-studded this one was. This was tough. Next is talking about our Champion of the Year, and I believe Otero's going through this.
So Champion of the Year is going to the person that best personified their championship run. When you thought of the title, this is the first person that came to mind. When we think of the underrated heels on either stable, we need look no further than Andrade. Andrade just has that, God, I hate this guy look. And our second nominee, when this superstar won the 2 women's titles, there was no limit to how far she would rise. It's the man, Becky Lynch. The third nominee, although his title run was short, it was no surprise he won. The new phenom, The Fiend. And the fourth nominee is going to be the feel-good moment of the year and true workhorse of the WWE, winning the title at Mania last year, Kofi Kingston. And the champion of the year is, drumroll, Becky Lynch.
This was kind of a surprise. Not really a surprise, but Becky Lynch got 3 votes. The Fiend got 0 votes for Champion of the Year, which is kind of nuts because we've been speaking so much praise about The Fiend, but as we know, his title run was kind of thrown askew about what happened in the writing and all that, so we wouldn't say it's his fault, or at least I wouldn't. Another vote went to Kofi Kingston, and my vote went to Andrade, because Andrade has been amazing. I think if he was better on the mic, he'd be like one of the top class superstars. He's got Zelina Vega with him, but his in-ring is second to none. And he really is. I always talk about prestige for a title. I feel like he really loves that title. Much like how Miz loves the the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like Andrade loves the U.S. Championship, like the way, not to the degree Miz loves it, but I see shades of that in his character, and that's why I voted for Andrade. We're gonna go to Nicole first for this one. What are your thoughts on the vote?
I mean, I voted Becky Lynch because she started the year out as 2 belts Becky, and then, you know, obviously had to give up one because we have an actual brand split now, you know, on 2 actual different networks. But I mean, ever since then, she's been dominant. I mean, just not like keep lining them up, and I'll just keep knocking them down. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and I know that it sounds a little silly, but I've been a Becky Lynch fan since 2015, you know, and I just watched her get shit on for like years. It's good to just watch her shit on everybody else for once. So like, as long as they'll let me have Becky shitting all over everybody, I'm gonna eat it up. So that's what I gotta say about it.
Delisha?
I honestly don't even remember who I voted for. But I think they were all deserving champions in their own right. I think, just as we were saying before, I think Becky's just been the most consistent in keeping up that level of top tierness. So to speak. I know that's not a word, but I feel like she maybe has gotten the most showcased throughout her AfterMat season reign. So I don't even know. I can't say I voted for her because I don't know if I did or not. And with Kofi and the Fiend, they just weren't written to have those monarch. I can think of those reigns type of championship runs. Hopefully, they will get other chances in the future. Fingers crossed. And Andrade, of course, I love him. I think this might be, hopefully, could be his year in the next coming award season to get that award.
Sometimes he has nice abs, but only sometimes. Depends on the like angle and what he's doing. I'm like, hey, I see you.
I feel like, because Big Time is asking why didn't Shayna Baszler? Shayna Baszler is definitely deserving of Champion of the Year, but like I was telling you, that's main roster for all the awards. I feel like now that NXT, maybe next year we could move to just like a blanket award, like, because NXT is now part of the main shows, right? They have their own show and all that. So maybe if they get more consistent pay-per-views, that could be included for the pay-per-view. But right now, I feel like we're talking about feuds about the Dijakovic and Keith Lee, as well as Adam Cole and anybody. I think that they are, where are they in? Shayna Baszler, definitely Champion of the Year in NXT, in my opinion. So I feel like maybe next year we can open up the categories to everyone, all the brands, because NXT's finally moved into a spot of its own primetime show. I love to talk about it throughout the year, but I feel like that is willing. I don't know what we'll do with the Next Gen Awards. Scrap them after a year and make them just the rookies, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it, but yeah, it's a good idea to open it up. Our next award is for the Next Gen Tag Team of the Year, and surprisingly, it's not Delisha doing it, it's Nicole. But just to be fair, it was actually Joe doing it, so it was another member of the Delisha family doing it. Unfortunately, Joe had to work tonight, so Nicole's going to be taking up that.
I'm going to be presenting his award on his behalf. So, yeah, let's talk about the next Gen Tag Team of the Year. This is obviously the award that we are giving the NXT Tag Team of the Year. So, starting it off, we have the Undisputed Era, of course. And they have been probably the most dominant faction in NXT. So it's no surprise that Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish held the tag team titles for the better part of 2019. Next up, we have the Brozier weights. Is that it? Brozier?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's like Bruiser weight or Brozer.
Bruiser?
Yeah,
Brozier?
Nobody likes him anyway.
Yeah.
Like Brozer weight.
Brozier weight. That way, bro. Okay, I don't know. Anyways, NXT's Odd Couple was put together during the Dusty Rhodes Classic and immediately gained fan favor. Probably because their name is Brosweight. Anyways, after beating the grizzled young veterans, they would go on to defeat the Undisputed Era and win NXT's Tag Team Championship. Speaking of the grizzled young veterans, they're our next nominee, and were featured prominently on the NXT UK. Now, however, after being featured very heavily on the Dusty Rhodes Classic, they are now a mainstay on NXT. The Undisputed Era, while they may be the dominant main roster team for NXT, we can't forget about our UK NXT big baddies. Imperium, along with Alexander Wolf and their leader Walter, are the wrestling's purists who are not afraid to get in your face. And the award for Next Gen Tag Team of the Year goes to the Undisputed Era.
Yes, Undisputed Era. Big Time is about to fight us if we voted for the Broserweights. This is Big Time. This was actually a unanimous vote, 5 votes to 0 for the Undisputed Era. Because why not? Like I was saying before, they have dominated all of NXT. They're great on every caliber that they run on. Whoever they face, whether it be Roderick Strong fighting singles, O'Reilly and Fish fighting, tag team, or Adam Cole in the main spotlight, they've been great on all cylinders. And we're talking more only about O'Reilly and Fish. They've been great as the tag team champions. Their character, the way they back up their leader, it's just great. NXT specialist Delisha, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, these are all really good tag teams that we've seen throughout the year. But like you said, Undisputed Era has just been so dominant. There was no way that we couldn't give it to them. The Broserweights are still a newfound tag team. So maybe if they are able to keep up their championship belts, or at least have some pretty good matches throughout the year, they might probably be back on the list next year. And just as an addendum for Nicole, Pete Dunne is known as the Bruiserweight, and of course Matt Riddle's the Bro, so that's where the name came.
I'm on the same page. I was like, what is Broserweights? I mean, don't get me wrong, that name is like right up there with shit that I love, because I'm all about bros up in the weights and all that stuff. So I'm like, Broserweights? Is that what?
Yes, they are a team that on paper you're like, I guess, but now seeing them interact with each other, and especially those vignettes they did to get to NXT Portland, it was just gold. So I was like, all right, you guys, you got me. I'm on board.
Oh, Otero?
It was hard for me to pick because in NXT, one of the shining things about NXT is how good their tag team division is. And so for me, I love Imperium. I love the Broserweights. I love Undisputed Era. The grizzled young veterans, I can take them or leave them, but Riddle and Dunn just make me laugh so hard whenever they're on the mic together. Because Dunn just looks at Riddle with the straight face, but you can tell he's about to laugh, and it just kills me every time. But Undisputed Era just has the most well-rounded stable I've ever seen in any promotion. So I picked Undisputed Era.
Yeah, it harkens back to those days of like Evolution and stuff like that when you had great stables. They're just. And they I think they were together in the Indies, right? So that's what they carried that camaraderie over to here. So it's just cool seeing that.
I would say they're more like the Four Horsemen, because you got the mouthpiece like Ric Flair, then Arn Anderson's a technical wrestler, and then the other two are just the tag team.
Yeah.
So it's like you have that really well-rounded stable, and I think it's gonna be a longevity thing. So like 20 years from now, when they're all like look like Triple H, they're gonna come out to the ring and like Undisputed Era.
Now we have like the Four Horsemen like callback nights, as well as the Generation X back. Like 20 years from now, we'll say we'll have the Undisputed Era reunions, thing. So yeah, I agree with that. That's gonna be awesome. That would be a great moment, and it would also be a great moment, the moment of the year, which Nicole will be presenting.
That's me again. That's right.
Nice.
So, Moment of the Year is the award that we give the greatest WWE moment that occurred this year, from WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So, let's jump right into it. The first nominee that we have for Moment of the Year is the invasion of Raw and SmackDown by NXT. The invasion of the NXT roster and the total domination that they showed against SmackDown superstars was seriously a masterstroke of creativity from the WWE writers, and will stand as one of the most lasting memories in SmackDown, Raw, and NXT history. Our next nominee for Moment of the Year took place during the Royal Rumble. That's right, I'm talking about The Edge's return. Now, The Edge, who was forced to retire in 2011 due to a neck injury, came out to an ecstatic crowd and thunderous applause. before he slowly made his way down to the ring where he proceeded to deliver one vicious spear after another. Our next moment our next moment of the year nominee is the Fiend reveal. You know I'm all about this, right? Bray Wyatt's return to the roster sparked fan theories left and right about what exactly was going on with him. And then it came, the reveal, Bray's dark secret. And I'm certain most of us are not going to be too quick to forget Chipper Bray grinning on the Firefly Funhouse saying, "Don't worry, this time I've learned how to harness it, how to control it." Then the camera suddenly cuts to a glimpse of the Fiend's leather-bound hands before turning to Bray's now cold eyes as he finishes with, "So what do you say? You want to see my secret?" And I'm just telling you, it was fantastic. And last but not least, our final candidate for Moment of the Year is Drew McIntyre's WWE Championship win at WrestleMania 36. Now, as strange as WrestleMania 36 was, it still has a few very awesome moments. McIntyre won the Men's Royal Rumble match in January and even eliminated Lesnar himself, which set the stage for what would be a heated and personal rivalry leading up to WrestleMania. But then McIntyre beat the Beast and won the WWE Championship for the first time in his career on the largest stage in wrestling. And the award for the best moment of the year goes to The Edge's return on the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so here we had another 2-2 tie, but I actually broke the tie with Edge's. As much as I love The Fiend, I actually, knowing Edge is coming back, like, you know, having hints of that on the dirt sheets and all that, I still popped when he came out because I'm a huge Edge head. I loved it. So when he came out, I was like, yes, this is so great. I love seeing him. It was sad seeing him go. I watched him on Haven after he left wrestling when he started acting, but I missed him here, and it was so great to see him come back. We'll go to Delisha first. Delisha, your thoughts on the moment of the year?
Of course, this had to win. Like, it hits you right in the feels, just for knowing everything that he had gone through. Much like your favorite wrestler, Daniel Bryan, he had to face adversity and overcome so much just to be able to get the opportunity to be back in the ring. And I implore you not, if you can, or you have access to the WWE Network, go watch his special that leads up to that moment, and again, you'll be in your feels way all over again. But it's the classic moment of overcoming adversity and being able to still live out your dream and be able to go out of your dream job on your terms.
Otero?
I actually picked The Fiend for obvious reasons, but Edge coming back was huge, even though, you know, Twitter always ruins everything. So I didn't know about it, and I was watching Royal Rumble and just saw Edge pop out of nowhere. I would have been like, oh, but because I knew, I was like, oh, cool, he's here, awesome. It was better than seeing Brock Lesnar throw 15 people out earlier in the match. So I'm happy to see him back, and hopefully he doesn't hurt himself. Having neck and back injuries, I can feel his pain. So
yeah, I rarely get emotional when it comes to wrestling. I do have like pops when people come back, or like The Rock shows up for a night and I wasn't expecting it and stuff. So I have moments like that. But when Edge retired, like, I was like tearing up. Like, I actually teared up because like he was one of my favorites. So like seeing him retire for such reasons, I couldn't care less when Daniel Bryan had the same speech. I felt a little bit for Paige because I like Paige. But for Daniel Bryan, I was like, good, get out of here, good riddance. But for when Edge did it, I was actually like tearing up and see him put like the belt down on the thing and walk out. You know, that was huge for me. Like, so seeing him come back, I loved it, and I definitely voted for this. So it was a close vote, but I'm glad this won. It seems like the bigger pay-per-view moments have been winning moments of the year for us so far. Like, I think last year Kofi won it for winning at WrestleMania. I feel like maybe if we had an audience, Drew McIntyre's win might have garnered more votes, because that unfortunately did not get any votes, and especially what he's gone through as well. But maybe next year, when the final member of three-man band, Heath Slater, wins at WrestleMania, we'll have the Heath Slater Moment of the Year thing.
I gotta feed my 9 kids.
He'll get the big paycheck if he wins at WrestleMania.
That's right.
This brings us to our final award of the evening, and then I guess we already know what the nominees are, because the way we do the nominees for the Superstar of the Year is we take the 4 nominees of the men's, 4 nominees of the women's, and put them together, and we vote for who we thought won. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and ask Delisha first. Who do you find was snubbed this year? Who do you think would you like to see an award that wasn't, as a nominee, but was not nominated? And you guys in the chat too as well. Let us know who you think. I always say the Miz, but Miz was gone for this pretty much this whole year. So I gotta think of somebody. But Delisha, who do you think?
Honestly, I was pretty happy with all the choices that we made. It's a long year, guys. So the fact that sometimes that we can even come up with these lists is always amazing to me. But yeah, I honestly think that we were able to garner the cream of the crop, so to speak. And then someone's gonna correct me in the comments of someone I forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, totally forgot about them. But I honestly do think that, I guess this got nominated, but just wasn't get onto the ballot. But Roman Reigns beating leukemia, wasn't that?
No, that was last year. That was last year's
Phil
Gold. Yeah. So I was
I think that ended up winning moment instead of Becky getting her 2 belts. And
No, I think Kofi. Didn't Kofi win? I thought Kofi won the moment.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I was gonna say some notable snubs, like you were saying, is Roman Reigns. John Cena hasn't been mentioned at all. Brock Lesnar was only mentioned in the Money in the Bank where he stole. Actually, no, he wasn't even nominated. It was just the Money in the Bank pay-per-view that was nominated. So Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Roman Reigns, people who used to be big names. So maybe this is how we're seeing the passing of the torch of how things have changed since then. But Otero, any thoughts of any snubs on your part?
No, not at all. I think these are going to be the future of WWE if they really want to keep on the trajectory that they're on right now. If they go back to all those old farts, then yeah, it's gonna derail all these new guys. But I feel like all these guys are young and they bring so much more to the table. And I hope that they keep on with this crowd and not, don't keep wheeling Ric Flair out every time your ratings are low, or John Cena, bring him from a movie set. Just focus on the new guys.
Yeah, for my part, I feel like one snub, even though he was nominated in one award and he was pretty much in every award of that, every nominee of that award, is AJ Styles. So I think AJ Styles had a phenomenal year, and I can't go an episode without saying that for him. But he hasn't been nominated for like Superstar or a moment or anything, so that's kind of crazy to see AJ Styles not getting nominated. Besides that one award, obviously, which he did win.
I'm happy that Charlotte's not on here.
Yeah. Same. I was gonna say that I'm happy Charlotte's not on here. Surprised she's not, and that I was gonna say that I'm sad that AJ's not there. Last year I wore my AJ vest for this show, and I don't even think he won last year. And of course,
I think he won a few. I'm not sure.
He nothing won.
AJ might have won Superstar of the Year one year. The first year maybe, I think. Big Time was triggered that you said that thing about Ric Flair, but nobody likes Ric Flair except for you, Big Time. So you should go back. You should go back to AfterTalk and hear what I had to say about the whole Flair family. It was awful, but great to me.
It really was, but it was.
But you know what? People get mad when you say the truth.
Yeah.
That's why Cal and I are here. People can hate us for the truth.
And I think AJ, his role this year a lot was to be that supporting role. Like, he might have held a title, but I don't remember any title reigns he's had this past.
Though he's not.
Yeah, he had the U.S. title, I'm pretty sure, and he lost it to.
But I feel like a lot of his role this past year was, this past like award season was to help putting over some, whether it be new material or some other guys, and he's a veteran. While his tenure in WWE hasn't been like as long as other people, but he is a veteran in the wrestling game. So I'm not surprised that he would be happy to help other younger talent get over by attaching his name to that match or segment, what have you.
Yeah, I agree with that, and like he could really show up other people. Like, by the way, he works. He's such a great worker that he could help support all these other people and bring them up. Another, I think, person who we did mention for entrance, but I don't think entrance is like an award that depicts how good of a wrestler they are and their personality is Shinsuke Nakamura, who's been U.S. or Intercontinental champion, whatever champion he is. I think U.S. and Intercontinental pretty much this whole year, and he wasn't nominated either. So that's interesting to see. It's another snub, I guess. Braun Strowman, another person. Not that I care about that, but I'm just saying he's another person we haven't really mentioned at all.
What about KO?
KO, well, yeah, KO was nominated for some of his feud. That's about it. Yeah, feud. So him as well. KO. So maybe some of these other people that we're kind of mentioning this year, maybe next year will be. But KO's also off TV a lot because the whole Shane McMahon feud and then the whole feud he had with Seth Rollins. So he was kind of like the Austin, like you're fired or whatever, and then he comes back, sits in the audience, comes back kind of thing. So that's how it's been. So this brings us to our final category award of the evening, which is Superstar of the Year. And as I mentioned earlier, the way we do it is we just take the 4 male nominees and the 4 female nominees and pit them against each other and let one winner come up top. I'll just go reiterate the nominees. I won't do a line about each of them because we've already mentioned them ad nauseum earlier. The male nominees were Drew McIntyre, Andrade, Seth Rollins, and The Fiend, whereas the female nominees were Asuka, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Kairi Sane. And in a very close vote, we had, I'll tell you, the last 2 people that were in it were the winner of the male Superstar of the Year, The Fiend, against the winner of the female Superstar of the Year, Becky Lynch. One of them got 3 votes, one of them got 2 votes, and the winner was The Fiend. The Fiend garnered 3 votes to beat Becky Lynch. So it was a close one this year. Fiend has, like we said, stolen the WWE universe. Is like, he's so awe-inspiring and great to watch. A great story. He's been so fun, and it's a shame what happened to him the last few months, but I really hope he bounces back, like Otero was saying, because his future is so bright, and as long as he writes they let him have more creative of what he does, I feel like he could be the champion for the rest of this coming year after he beats Braun Strowman, which is what I'm hoping, that he holds the title through WrestleMania and then gets that WrestleMania win that he deserves, because that whole John Cena thing wasn't really, I don't consider it really a win, even though he won, but so we're going to go to Otero first on this. Your thoughts on this Superstar of the Year?
I totally agree, and WrestleMania was like the main reason why I believe so, because he could tell a story without a match. He could tell a story in a match, and he's just awesome in those vignettes of the Firefly Funhouse. I just think he is the future, and that's why I said earlier he's like the new phenom to me, because I haven't popped for someone like the Undertaker, like I used to for the Undertaker, until the Fiend showed up. So I feel like he's taking the Undertaker spot for me as far as like the new undead, creepy macabre character. So I hope he continues on.
Yeah, Nicole, you want to piggyback off those thoughts?
I absolutely do, because I think I said about how much I really and why I felt like that gimmick was the most entertaining thing of 2019. It was the thing that kept making me want to go back and watch it, and it was the thing that I wanted to talk about with people. And even as I wanted to drift away from the WWE, I still wanted to know what was going on with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend. And I do think a lot of that has to go back to the fact that The Undertaker was one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid, because it has very much the same feel where you have, just like this unstoppable force. And I hate what they did to him towards the end, but I really do think, and this is I didn't vote for The Fiend. I know that probably shocks everyone. I voted for Becky Lynch, and I sat there and was like, who do I vote for? Who do I vote for? Because I was so excited about both of these. So the fact that they were the top 2, I'm pleased either way, right? I think that The Fiend deserves it because I found The Fiend to be the most entertaining thing of the year. And obviously, I love that Becky's undefeated. She just keeps slaying everyone. So even though she didn't win, she's a winner in my book all the time.
Yeah, and that has to... are we not? No, not yet. Not on this show. Maybe on AfterTalk we do. But maybe someday we can start another sister show or a brother show and talk about other companies. But I feel like that feud with John Cena was the perfect one to have going into the next coming season for us, because it really showcased his journey from being like Husky Harris to becoming Bray Wyatt to becoming The Fiend and Bray Wyatt. And I mentioned that on the AfterMat about WrestleMania, where John Cena's voice resonated over his pin, saying, "I'm gonna finally bury the superstar that is overhyped, over tall, whatever." And he's talking about, because he was trying to explain that he's talking about, Bray Wyatt, but it was actually him that was being buried at the end, and I love that. That was a great moment. Delisha, your thoughts about Superstar of the Year?
Yeah, I think the appropriate superstar won. Although I wouldn't have been mad with Becky Lynch either. The fact that the Fiend, I'm counting that like Goldberg title loss as like an outlier to everything else, because everything else was so perfect, and just like the layered story that he's been able to tell from the first vignette all the way up until I don't know, yesterday. I don't know. And it seems like he's still going with that layered storyline, because now he's going after Braun Strowman, a member of the Wyatt family with the storied past. So it'd be really interesting. It's still interesting to see that he's still telling his past, bringing it to the future. I mean, into the present to go forward in the future with this Fiend character. And I think all the nominees deserve to be there, because they all had a breakout moment somewhat throughout the year, and like that's why they were nominated for Superstar or their respective nominee beforehand. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Bray has to offer us, and what hopefully they keep giving him the reins to do what his vision is, and not to curtail him with bureaucracy in the backstage. And I'm hoping we still get to see Becky be Becky, and see all of our other nominees be able to showcase their talent, whether it's in front of a crowd or not. Hopefully, fingers crossed, to be able to go forth to the next award season.
Yeah, which brings us to, that was our last award. But I want to thank all you guys for joining my esteemed panel. Thank you guys for joining us and helping me throughout this. I hope you guys had fun. I want to thank Eric for joining us, because I love bringing him back. I love, he's a special part of the show. He started the show with us, and despite everything, we're always gonna stay together through. We'll be there for you through your tough times. So I want to make sure he's always remembered, and I hope he loves coming back and all that. And all you guys, all the people in the chat and who's been supporting this show through 3 seasons. This is the end of 3 seasons, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I love bringing people onto it and hearing what you guys think about wrestling. I love that you guys are passionate about it. It's so fun talking wrestling, and it's like hard to do when people are so marred by like how dirt sheets and everything report stuff, and I like to see that pure passion that we have, that when we talk about things like that. And thank you, Big Time. Yeah, Big Time has always been a great supporter as well, talking about wrestling with him as well. So it's been so fun. So 3 seasons down, and now our 4th season is going to be starting in a second. But before we get to that, we want to talk to Otero first. Otero, what have you been up to? Where can we find you? And all that.
You can find me on my channel, which is Otero Studios. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, same handle, Otero Studios. Right now, I am finishing up my 4th semester of college, and then I'm going to be looking at a 4-year to finish my teaching degree. But in the meantime, I have so many projects in between that are just taking up so much of my time. So I'm just incorporating all those into my YouTube videos right now. But I'm having fun because I get to draw whatever comes to my mind and get to turn it into school. So I love it. But yeah, those are all the places you guys can find me, and hopefully to see some of the people from the chat show up.
Yep. And Nicole, what about you?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, everything froze on my end for like the very last end of all of that. So I am Tricki Nicki. You guys can find me right here on the Kingslayer network doing AfterTalk with Delisha, and obviously doing, the AfterMat awards here, if they'll keep letting me on here. I know sometimes it's like, get out of here, Nicole. But you can find me on the interweb at Rhapsody0607. That is my tag on Twitter. That is also my tag on Instagram. But I did just recently open a purely hair product review Instagram called Rhapsody's Reviews. And you can also find me on YouTube at Rhapsody's Vlog, where I talk about history lessons, life lessons, and of course, style lessons.
Yeah, and after this video is processed, I'm going to make sure their links are all in the description below. And of course, we can't forget Delisha.
Hey. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Delisha_Renee. But more excitingly is you can now find AfterMat and AfterTalk on across all podcast forms. That's all your Spotify's, your iTunes. Uh, those are the only two that I know. But I keep getting notifications that we're on all of them. So wherever you listen to podcasting, we should be on there. I think can we be able to link that below as well? The RSS feed, I think that's called. I know technology a little bit. But I will say right now is just starting with WrestleMania, our WrestleMania recap. That's the start of the Aftermath feed, and also the first After Talk after that WrestleMania feed is where you can find it. Eventually, I might be able to get all of it on there, but these are really big files and they take some time to process. But from here forth now, you'll be able to catch us on your podcast, listen in your ear holes if you don't want to view it on YouTube. And this episode will probably be up on Wednesday. I'll tweet out when it's up, but you can probably look forward to it on Wednesdays, the Wednesdays after we record. There you go. I know words.
And as for me, I'm your people's champ, Cal. You can find me here on the Kingslayer Network. I'll be streaming this week, Wednesday and Friday, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Next week, I'll be also doing Wednesday and Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, also Final Fantasy Remake. Normally on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I usually preempt them for AfterMats or AfterTalks. So next week, we'll be having AfterMat. We'll be doing our Season 4, Episode 1, talk about Money in the Bank. And you can also find me on AfterTalk as the voice of the voiceless there, different character, which is image that Otero drew for me as CM Punk. So that's my other character that you can find me over there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, what we have for this show. And we're going to have a whole new season starting next week, and it's going to be fun because we're going to have all new awards 1 year from now. We'll see how many people win and how many are returning nominees. But until then, guys, make sure you stay safe, wash your hands, keep social distancing, all that kind of stuff. Be nice to each other, be there for each other, and always remember, keep slamming the haters and be the champion of your dreams. See you guys next time.
Did we lose Delisha?
She always just bounces immediately.
All right.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.
Okay.
I guess.
I don't wanna waste what's left.
Okay.
The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah.
No, it was fun.
I don't wanna waste what's
I had a blast.
left.
Same.
And on we'll go.
Alright, see ya.
See ya.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go. Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go.